And action. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Action Podcast. We are on episode 73. And today we got a few films on the docket. We've got A Haunting in Venice, which is stars and is directed by Kenneth Branagh. We also are going to do Nun 2, which is the sequel to what, Pete?
The Nun 1.
Yes, good job. We also have, we were able to see a sneak preview of Dumb Money, which will actually be released this weekend, September 23rd.
Right.
And then lastly, on Amazon Prime, we have A Million Miles Away, which stars Michael Pena. And so with that, Pete, let's get into A Haunting in Venice. What were your thoughts?
Haunting in Venice is the third installment of the something Poirot.
Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, Murder on the Orient Express, the
Poirot series,
Death on the Nile. We've seen, and I'm a sucker for a good murder mystery. You know, I love them. It's always keeps you guessing. And what Kenneth Branagh has been able to do with these movies, as much as I didn't like the earlier ones, like super much, like I feel like I figured those ones out pretty early on. This one, I think I loved this one so much because they decided to go a different direction with this one. They decided to take the horror element and try to add that to the murder mystery genre. And I think for the most part, they pulled it off.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of there weren't a lot of jump scares, like people trying to scare you or ghosts trying to scare you. They did something very clever in this, in that every time there was a jump scare, it seemed to coincide with a transition to the next scene. Yeah. And so, you know, every time you're like, oh, and then we're on the next scene. So you have to quickly just get out of it and get right back into kind of what's going on in the story. And then the Poirot, Kenneth Branagh's character, doesn't believe in this sort of thing, and he just wants to debunk it, but he's starting to like go through all of these experiences where he's starting to really kind of question whether something is really happening or not. And then, you know, the mystery just sort of continues to unfold. I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed myself. I saw this last night, late, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought that this was the best of the three Branagh movies for this series.
Yeah, actually, we'll agree with you on that. You know, it's definitely better than Death of the Nile. And then this one is, I kind of like it better than Murder in the Orient Express, only because I think what this film has, which the other films don't, is a true character arc and development for Hercule Poirot. You know what I mean? He has, you know, in this one, he's kind of coming out of retirement. And so, you know, he's
begrudgingly.
Yeah, begrudgingly. And, you know, and so obviously this case kind of pulls him in. And then, like you're also saying too, you know, you're dealing with just his belief system and that being questioned. And again, that's just adds for a stronger storyline. You know, kind of like how, you know, this last Indiana Jones one, you were dealing with other elements of Indiana Jones that we really haven't seen before because you know, there was just the years obviously have taken place, and so you deal with different things in different parts of your life. And so again, I think really good screenwriting. This one was written by Michael Green, who wrote the other two films, Murder on the Orient Express, Death of the Nile. He also wrote Logan, which we both really like. Jungle Cruise, which I thought was solid. Call of the Wild. So this guy's definitely one of the better writers out there. And
you know, my previous comment about not liking the other two as much as this one, I mean, it's not to say that the other two weren't really well written. I mean, they're really good mysteries. I think, I don't know, I was just able to kind of figure it out. This one, you know, when you get to the very end, I didn't even realize what time, and that was the beauty of this movie. It was like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I figured it out. And then I realized there's like literally 10 minutes left in the movie. So I didn't really figure out this movie. And that's why I kind of hold it a little bit so high.
You figured it out when they told you who it was?
I figured it out basically right before they said, "Oh, here's the big reveal." So, yay me. Um, However, I will say that Tina Fey did an amazing job because we all know Tina Fey and we all know what she does with acting and with writing. I think this was a little bit of a different character for her, and I think she pulled it off really well.
Yeah.
She wasn't intrusive. She wasn't trying to steal scenes. Like she was a part of each scene in this story, and I thought she did it brilliantly. And the standout is Michelle Yeoh of Pause and Fury fame. Um, the seance scene alone is something to aspire to as an actress if you wanted to be something that is just really good. That scene was just intense, and what she showed you emotionally is a little bit akin to what she did on Everything Everywhere. I mean, just a lot of different emotions within like a split amount of time. Brilliant.
Yeah,
She's so good.
yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So yeah, go definitely go see this, guys.
Oh,
If you have not seen the other ones, the good news is I don't think you need to see the other two in order to see this. Uh,
no,
this is
you just need to know that Perot is unwavering in his process. Like he has a methodology to solving crimes,
but they say
and
that in the movie though. Like
they say it in the movie, but I'm just saying that's really all you need to know.
yeah, awesome.
Thanks.
So go check that out. Next film, and this came out 2 weeks ago, and it is Nun 2, and this is part of the Conjuring universe. I'm going to start on this one, Pete, because I texted you, and I've got some hot takes on this one, and I'm ready for the audience to listen to some
Fasten your seatbelts.
hot takes here. So I literally had not watched any of the Conjuring series before this film. This was Pete had kind of broke down to me what they're all about and the kind of the origin story. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I was like, all right, well, let me put in some effort and I'm going to go through and try and watch as many of these as I can before actually watching The Nun 2. And I did. So I started with The Conjuring. Then I watched the original Nun. Then I watched Conjuring 2. And then I watched Annabelle. So those are the ones I've seen. Obviously, I'm still missing quite a few, but I think I have a good grasp of the universe and all that stuff. And we know from this podcast that The Conjuring is Pete's favorite film in this series.
No, it's not my favorite film. It was
series?
scary.
I thought you said it was your favorite in the series.
Oh, in the series, sure. In this
Yeah.
universe, nothing beats the original Conjuring.
Yeah. Well, here's my hot take, Pete. I think The Nun 2 does beat the original Conjuring, and let me tell you why.
Please.
This is for me, and I have a certain taste that I really do enjoy, and I love historical fiction, and so when you're able to combine a lot of the different elements of these films and put it together, that it really kind of draws me in. And so this film had a lot to do with they were talking about like the Crusades and the church, and really kind of ties into a lot of different things, whereas the first one didn't really delve into a lot of that a whole lot. It delved into it a little bit and had a cool backstory. But why I like this one a little bit more than The Conjuring was I think they're all to me about the same on a scariness level. I never really felt super scared by any of it. I mean, it's creepy, but but I'm not typically scared in movies like this anyway. But I just enjoyed the storyline and the how it all kind of just came together. I just really enjoyed it. And so I know that's not necessarily a huge compelling case on why it's the best.
Yeah, that told me nothing.
Let me see if I wrote some notes. But ultimately, I just really enjoyed. Here we go. And my other thing too. So I started kind of started to go through like thoughts about like the exorcism and stuff like that. And one of my thoughts that I had is, why is only Catholicism the only ones dealing with exorcism? Like you never see the Jewish exorcist or the Muslim exorcist. And so one of my hot takes too is, Pete, why don't they just change religions and then you don't really have to deal with the exorcism stuff? You know what I mean? Like that was my big conclusion.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that.
I thought about it the whole time. I'm like,
I
why
can't
are
be a
the
proponent
Catholics?
for or against it.
Why are only the Catholics getting attacked here? Like all the
Well,
Muslim guys are just chilling. Like we're good. We don't get haunted.
what's the deal with exorcisms? No, and here's why you're wrong. By the way, because yes, they show backstory and stuff like that, but the appeal of the first Conjuring was the fact that it was a frightening movie that was supposed to be based on something real that was happening. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be a case from the Warrens, who were the basically the godfathers and the godmothers of paranormal investigation. Like everything that you see on TV nowadays about
yeah.
paranormal investigations and haunted houses, and let's go and sit there for days and try to record stuff. None of that would have existed without these two people. And so, from their notes and from their case files, they started The Conjuring, and The Conjuring happened. And then
By the
there
way,
was a
do you like the original title more than The Conjuring, The Warren Files? I feel like I like that
no.
title better.
No, only because I was a huge
Conjuring,
X-Files fan, and it would just be way too close to that. Like,
I mean, you
was the
can do a
X-Files?
yeah. I mean, I think you can
They
do a
already did the Files, right? Like they already did something the Files for years. You don't need another Files.
I'm sure.
However, you've seen The Conjuring 1, you're scared. I'm scared. I had to watch it during the day because that's kind of pussy. Second one came out amazing. And then you start the Annabelle series. First Annabelle comes out, even though we already know Annabelle as a character, as a creature, right? As an entity. The first Annabelle, and then I think there was two more after that, and they just progressively get less and less. They get away from what their bread and butter was, right? It becomes less about horror and more about just
You,
almost trying to continuously explain a backstory. And then The Nun came out, which I was really excited about, but then I found myself not being scared one time, and they just kind of build up. And then The Nun 2 came out, and it was sort of the same thing where, no offense, like you didn't have to go this far back in a backstory and at the same time completely change the formula of which made it so amazing in the first place, right? Like, I don't know. There was no jump scares. There was nothing that really was horrific about it. It was literally just a story, and I don't know. I was kind of bored,
huh.
especially through the first half of it, where there was really nothing going on. They were like building up this stuff,
Did you
and
watch this in theaters or no?
no, I didn't see it in the theaters. I saw it on a
So
special
I think that does
screener.
add to it. So this was the first one that I did see in the theaters, and I saw it at night and all that good stuff, and it does add a tremendous amount to everything, like the sound. Like I think again, maybe that's why I like that it the most is
Yeah, but I mean,
I
we're
had the best.
tremendous. I don't know if I would use the word. It would change a tremendous amount watching it at your house versus watching it in a theater,
Dude, I think it
because
does
it's
because the
still.
sound.
But what I talked about had nothing to do with sound or anything like that, or atmosphere or anything like that. It had to do with the fact that you start me in this series with something that is just absolutely frightening, and that I don't want to go into a room or into a basement, to this completely just this offshoot of something that is just it's a historical story,
Yeah,
um, which may or may not even be associated with any sort of real files. Like, I don't even know, but I don't know. I feel like the Conjuring franchise has jumped the shark, and this is an example of that jumping.
yeah. I could see why you have that point of view. And again, you are more into the
It's
scariness
the
part
same
of
with
it.
Insidious. In the first Insidious was like one of the more
I
frightening
haven't seen
movies I
that one
think I've
yet.
ever seen in my life. When I first watched Insidious, I was was damaged by it, kind of. It was that frightening. Same with Sinister. The first Sinister just messed me up. Sinister just took a second try, and then they stopped. Insidious just took it just too far. They went again and they did the red door, and you don't need to do it. I mean, unless you have something to offer.
Well,
Um,
what I enjoyed about this one, going back to it too, is this one So there was two characters from this one that made it into the second one. It's uh Taissa Farmiga, who's Vera Farmiga. She was the one that starred in The Conjuring.
Uh, his sister.
Sister.
I thought it was her daughter forever, but then I
No,
found
it's
out that
her
there's just huge. They're like 9 kids in that family.
Yeah.
Vera's the oldest, and Taissa's the youngest.
Yeah.
Mind blown. Go on.
Yeah. And so and then the farmer guy, the guy that makes the deliveries between the thing there and Maurice, yeah. And so, this story picks off with, at the end of the last one, they show like the cross kind of is burning through his skin. And so this one kind of continues that story where he is now kind of the possessed one. And so again, I enjoyed the journey just because I was just curious on kind of how they're going to solve this kind of a thing. And then the he's still like part of like the school and all that. So again, I liked it for where it went, but I think, I don't carry so much baggage into these films. I think that you do. Like I can just watch it and just enjoy it for what it is. And again, it's doing pretty decent in the box office. Now, I will say this too. IMDb, I think, only got like a 5.8. The first one only got a 5.9, I think, something like that. So they're
9.
Which I think pretty much sums up, like, some people will like it, some people won't. So it really just depends on how picky you are. If you're a super picky person, I think you're probably going to side on Pete's side with this. I think if you are someone that can just go in and watch a movie and enjoy it for what's being presented in front of you without all baggage and stuff like that, then I think you will enjoy this. Again, I think it's a lot better to watch in a theater versus watching this at home or wherever I think for me, it adds to the whole thing because I haven't seen a ton of like scary movies in the theater, and I just thought it added a whole lot to it. It makes it a lot more creepier. Again, the sound, you're just a little bit more on the edge of your seat versus not. So I think on this one we got a split vote. For some of you, if you got the AMC pass, definitely go check this out. I think it's worth it. If you haven't got it, check it out because you can go see movies like this where I'm not sure if I want to spend that money or not to go. Something like the AMC pass would help you make that decision easier. So
movies a week. And the director did, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And
yeah, he's in the last 5 of the series.
Curse of La Llorona, which is not a part of the 3 different main aspects of that whole universe, but there are other movies in that universe. I thought it was really nice to see, and I'll say this: it was really nice to see Storm Reid again. That's the little girl that was in Missing, who I thought was incredible.
Oh, that's what she's from. Okay, I was like, I recognize her.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I'm like, I know this girl, and she had a very limited role in this one. She's more of a sidekick, but it was great to see her again because I thought she just crushed it in Missing, and so
Necessary role too, by the way.
Very necessary
because I do think this is you need a team, and she kind of becomes the new team member because the original preacher detective is not in this one. I don't, that decision I'm curious about. I would like to know a little bit more. I don't have any answers for you on that one. Whether if it was just like an actor thing, like the actor wanted too much money or something, Damien Belcher, or the writer just wanted to kill off the character. That part I don't know. I'd be super curious to know because I think that's another aspect that maybe this is a different film with him back involved in it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and are they opening it up for another branch off series where it's like, because there's that gap now. Yeah. Now there's a gap, an obvious gap in this universe. Either way, it's a fine watch. I mean, you want to go see it, go see it. It's just I'm a Conjuring fan. Like I was drawn to this from the very beginning, and I've just seen this universe just slowly taper off, and this is an example of that for me.
Makes sense. All right. Next, we have Dumb Money. Like I mentioned before, this was a sneak preview. You can only see this if you're in Los Angeles area. You can only see this at the Century City AMC. It might be in some other theaters, but just for AMC people, it's only playing at the Century City one,
where you can see up to 3 movies a week with the AMC pass.
That's right. And so this movie is not written. Excuse me. This is directed by Craig Gillespie. He did the Pam and Tommy miniseries on Hulu, Cruella, I, Tanya, Million Dollar Arm, and Finest Hours. So this guy's got some solid credits.
Right.
Stars Paul Dano of Batman, the Batman fame, amongst other films, and then just a cast of guys. So this is very Big Short, like in that world. So if you love The Big Short, I think this movie is in that same genre. But so Pete Davidson's a character in this one. Seth Rogan, Vincent D'Onofrio, Nick Offerman, Anthony Ramos, who again just continues to ascent in the rise of.
Paul Dano is so strange as an actor. Like, he's so good. He can put himself into any role and just make you feel either completely confused, angry, creeped out, but you can also like tear at your heartstrings too. Like, she's so good.
Yeah, and he's excellent in this. Again, this is a really fun movie. This movie is about the Wall Street bets, the GameStop, thing where it's kind of the underdogs versus Wall Street, and it's a really, really, really fun watch. Really good, funny, very stylistic. Again, this is like Big Short, just kind of a different story, and that's for me. I think the Big Short's probably a little cleaner in terms of just pure like style and all that. I mean, that's Adam McKay mastery in terms of filmmaking, because he make it very stylistic. This one I think is also very good, just not quite at that level, but it's still very, very, very good. And again, the story, get a little bit more depth on it. If you follow along with it, you just get a little bit more depth, and it's just a crazy, crazy, crazy story. And so getting to watch it on the big screen, learning all the different stories, it's a fun watch. So it's going to be coming out this weekend. So it's probably the number one movie for this weekend. So I'd definitely say go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it.
This is based on a true story. And from what I understand, this was just a group of people, and this shows the power of the internet and community within that internet, and the people on Reddit who are able to kind of join together and basically say F off to these sort of major companies. And
don't research the story before you go. Just go watch it, because you will like. I remember going through it live, but then I really haven't followed up since then. So it's kind of good to you just don't remember certain details of it. So it's kind of good to go in
right.
a little bit more blind versus like have all the exact details, because you'll kind of take out a little of the steam out of the engine. I don't even think
Right.
that's a steam,
Well,
but
I knew that was going to happen.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and then our last film this week, we have Million Miles Away. This is on Amazon Prime. This is directed by Alejandra. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to read that.
Marquez Abela.
Marquez Abella, yeah. And she did Narcos Mexico, and a movie I haven't heard of, Northern Shines Over Every Day. Does that sound about right? I don't know. And then stars Michael Pena, Rosa Salazar. This is a film about the migrant farmer who ends up becoming an astronaut. And I think Pete, you can go first on this one.
Yeah, this got a 7.5 on IMDb, and I absolutely agree. This is a heartfelt, inspirational story, and you follow along this guy's journey. And this is, I would liken it to it's the Rudy of the space of the astronaut world.
I knew you were going to say the Rudy.
It could, because I mean, basically everyone around him either was like, "Don't give up," or they were like, "You're crazy." But the people that mattered the most were like, just, we believe in you, even if it takes 30 years. We've all sacrificed our whole lives, and we're going to keep sacrificing because you're supposed to do this. And I got to be honest, like I was enthralled through this entire story, this journey. I got choked up at several moments throughout this movie. It's really well done. I mean, there's an obvious message about the time period and how Mexicans were looked at, especially migrant working Mexicans, the way they were viewed and how they just weren't taken seriously. But I got to be honest, like this film, as Mexican heavy as it was, it didn't really throw it in your face like, this
The
is a
character.
massively anti-racist movie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was classy. Like this was like a very classy film about a group of people that succeeded. And no offense, we are awesome. And what this dad and what the mom did, especially for that family, and then the parents that they were surrounded with, and that community that supported him in this journey, was very inspirational. And the movie was well done, and they didn't spend a lot of time on the ending, and I thought it was absolutely appropriate. Like, just boom, they just at the very end, just like bam, that's the end of the movie. And I hope you enjoyed it. I loved this movie. I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have much to add because I think he pretty much nailed everything on that. I
Thank you.
think I think again when you're talking like who's this for? I mean, this is a classic kind of family film, and because it's a streamer, you're talking like if you're one of those families that are, hey, we're gonna watch a movie tonight. What do we got? Like this is your movie. This is your family movie, especially if you got kids between the age of like 5 and 13, 14, 15. This is the kind of story and messages that you need to show your kids, because this is again pouring belief into them, strong message, family, like everything you kind of really want in a movie, family movie like this movie's about. And so definitely check it out.
Very wise. The movie is very wise. There's a lot of wisdom that is thrown around by the parents, especially Michael Pena's dad.
Yeah.
Uh, throws some stuff out there, and then his two cousins, the guy and then the girl later on, who just come in at very specific moments and just drop some stuff on you. And it's Michael Pena's character, as special as he was and as smart as he was, you could make the argument that he would not have accomplished what he accomplished if he didn't have those very specific pieces around him throughout that process. And I think that what this film succeeded in was showing the value of the people around you while you're trying to achieve a goal, especially one that's going to better the majority of people that you're involved with. It's just really I had no expectation for this movie when it came out, and halfway through it, I'm like, I want to see what's going to happen next, and then I start crying, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Where are these emotions coming from? I'm a dark person, and I have no heart, and what's happening around this area?
Yeah.
You get that throat thing where you're like, I'm not going to cry, but there's something in my throat right now. A couple of
Yeah.
moments there. So well done. Michael Pena is brilliant. He's so subtle and brilliant at the same time. Just crushed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So check that out again on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
And
and Garrett Dillahunt is in this movie, who I just saw in the assassination of Jesse James. This guy, you'll recognize him. He comes in. He's like the head of NASA who
yeah,
recruits him eventually. He's got a sneaky, great role too. He's the guy that was always kind of pulling for Michael Pena but can't show it. And then when he finally does, it's one of those moments. I just love that guy. He's good.
yeah. Awesome. So yeah, check that out. That's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Next week on tap, we already mentioned Dumb Money. That's gonna be coming out in full release. So those that are not in the West LA area can finally see this. And then we have Expendables 4 with all a few of the boys back. Stallone, Lundgren, amongst others. And then on Netflix, again, probably another family film for you, is Spy Kids Armageddon. And I've saw one of them, and I was actually pretty surprised. Like, it was pretty entertaining. Robert Rodriguez was the original director. I don't know if he's doing this one, but he's probably executive producer at the minimum. But yeah, this is kind of a sneaky good series. So I'll check this out and let you guys know if it's worth it. So anything else to add, Pete?
No, that's about it. But we will let you know, not just you.
Right. Pete's going to put in that work. So,
Well,
yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. Please share, help us grow, guys. We appreciate all the support and love. And with that, Pete, that is a cut. Thanks, guys.